Hi, it is Jay here, and I am going to be telling you all about my coming out story. So basically, I'm really bad with dates, so I can't really remember when I first came out, but I think I was about 14, maybe 15ish, so this would have been about, I think I was probably 14 and this was in like 2015. So I think the first person I ever kind of came out to was like I casually brought up in conversation that I thought I might have been like non-binary or something to who was my best friend at the time, but that didn't really go anywhere. Like we were just kind of discussing things, and I was like talking about how annoying our parents were, how like, you know, 14-year-olds do, and she was like, oh, my mom wouldn't let me buy clothes from the boys section, and I was like, well, like I like clothes from the boys section. That was it. Like it was really pointless and useless conversation, but I was like a little baby trans. And then the next person I probably told was like my therapist, because I was like in and out of therapy for most of my youth, to be quite honest, because like I had a lot of mental health issues that like now when I look back at it I'm like, oh, that was dysphoria, but like I didn't know that at the time. I thought I was just like sad. I was like cried sometimes. I don't like, that's better, sorry about that. And so basically like I came out to my therapist. I came out as like non-binary at the time because I used to identify as like an entirely non-binary, whereas now I've like discovered myself a little bit more and now identify as like a non-binary trans guy. So like anyway, I came out to my counsellor therapist person at the time, and like I was just like, I don't know how that came up. I was like, I've been thinking about something and I want to tell you. So then like I told her and she was like, oh cool, we'll talk about that in sessions and stuff, and we did for a bit. And then my mom had a meeting with my therapist and they were just kind of going to like discuss my progress and stuff. And I was like really nervous that my therapist was going to like out me to my mom and it was going to be this whole big deal. So I texted my sister being like, because my sister has a girlfriend and she's had a girlfriend for like literally as long as I could remember. And like my mom has never really like mentioned it as a thing, so like I was like, how did you come out? How did you do that? So I texted her and she was like, I didn't really come out. I don't have like a big event story. My mom just kind of found out I was talking to a girl and that was that, and she was fine with it. So I was like, okay, so if I'm gonna come out to mom, and like no one's came out to her before really, so I don't know how to do this. So then we had this conversation over like brownies in a pub, and it was like 7 in the evening or something. Our mom was currently like out at her friend's house. I can't tell this story without making my mom sound like a slightly more sympathetic version of the mother from Arrested Development, but like she kind of is. Like that's kind of her aesthetic and I live for that. It's very cool. I wish I could be as cool as my mom, but like she is also a very lovely person. Anyway, so we like phoned my mom and I was like, I have something to tell you, really important, mom. And she was like, well, I'm at my friend's house and we've got like wine open, like, and I was like, no, you have to come to the house right now and I have to tell you this. So we like both walked back home, and like I was like at home and my mom was at home and my sister was there, and like so I sat my mom down and I was like, I need to tell you, like I think I'm non-binary, and also like because I was like info dumping at this point, so I was like, I may as well come out about my sexuality as well. So I was like, I think I'm like pan and ace. And she was like, oh, firstly I don't know what any of those mean. If you're trying to tell me that you're like some sort of like trans or gay or whatever, like that's fine, like I kind of guessed and like whatever. And I was like, oh okay. And I was like crying because I'd like built it up in my head, and she was like, yeah, that's fine, like do you want me to use a different name or something? And I was like, I don't know, not yet. And she was like, okay, well I'm gonna go see like my wine's open and so it's getting warm and I don't want room temperature wine, so they're kind of like, and I was like, yeah, that's fine, bye. So like that was it for then. And then like I waited a few more months while I was like talking things over with my therapist and just kind of like discovering myself a little bit more and figuring out what I wanted to do with this. So then like probably a few months later I was like, right, so I'm gonna like change my name and come out to everyone and change my pronouns and stuff. So I did that via a YouTube video. I made a YouTube video on my YouTube channel and I was like, I'm non-binary and I want everyone to call me Jessie because this is the name I picked, and that is my name. Well done. You picked a name and you stuck with it mostly. And I was like, and my pronouns are they, them, and I've stuck with those as well. My pronouns are they, them, or he, him now. And I don't know if I mentioned my sexuality in that as well. I might have. But anyway, my sexuality is another thing that's kind of like slowly developed since my first initial coming out. I think I was like asexual, panromantic, and now I'm kind of like pansexual and on the asexual spectrum. That's more how I define it now, but same, I just prefer different words. slightly different words. And so anyway, I came out via like this YouTube video and I like just kind of posted it on Facebook. I was like, here you go. And like my dad, who like I'm super close to and who I love, watched it, and like then like the next weekend I saw him because my parents had separated at this point, and they like, so I see my dad for the weekend and my mom like just, you know, in the week and that. So I came to my dad's house and he was like, oh, I saw your video, you want me to call you Jessie now? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, cool. And then like he like literally hasn't really slipped up or anything since that I know of. He's like, he's the best. And then there's extended family and stuff. I think those that don't have Facebook, my mom probably like mentioned during conversation that I was trans, and I was like, cool. And like that, it wasn't really a big deal because like my whole family's kind of like chill, like we all kind of talk to each other and don't really get in each other's business. Like we know what's going on with each other, but we don't really care. We're more like respectful sort of thing. But then at the time I was in high school, and so I came out to my high school via an email, and the school was probably the biggest problem. The teachers were like really reluctant to change my name on anything. They were like just annoying, you know how like the schools and institutions can be with that sort of thing. They like really didn't want me to like do like go into different bathrooms or different changing rooms and stuff, and it was annoying. And obviously there was a few cool teachers who I'm like super thankful who like saved my life during that sort of time, but like most of them, like my head of house was just so annoying and like just wouldn't let me explain anything to her. And it was, I still look back at the period in time and it's like, why did you have to make it so difficult for me? And obviously there was like classmates, and a lot of those, that's where like I didn't really face much backlash apart from classmates, to be honest. A few of those were really horrible and transphobic and would bully me a lot and like stuff like that. But you know, I survived it. It's great. And then obviously like a couple years after that I was like living as non-binary for a bit, and then I was like, actually I think I'm more like on the masc side of things. So then I just kind of text everyone I knew being like, hey, I'm trying out he him pronouns now, and maybe like if you want to abbreviate Jessie to J sometimes because like it's a little more masculine like that, you can do that as well. And like that's like basically my coming out story, and I kind of had the same response to that as well. So cool, nice. So yeah, I know it wasn't like eventful really. Like I see my whole coming out process as like really like a non-event. Like I just kind of told people and most people were okay with it. Some people were like ew, but like those were the people who like I didn't like anyway, so like yeah, so that's it. If you guys are considering coming out, like, you know, you people watching this, good luck. I hope it goes something similar to like what mine did, or like a positive response, and I hope you're all safe and everything. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, comment if you want, and I will answer them. And advice for coming out, make sure you're ready, and make sure you're safe. But apart from that, just like go for it, and you know, just say it, make sure it's out there, and then, you know, that's all that you can do. The ball's in their court then. That's it. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye. Bye, love you, bye. Subscribe, like, comment. Love you.